Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and something I haven't done yet for some reason, and that's compare my two Eastman guitars. And I guess it's sort of saying, you know, comparing P90's versus Humbuckers as well. So I think before I get on to chatting about the differences between the SP56 and the 59, we'll get straight onto the comparisons, because I want to kind of hear what you prefer out of these two guitars. And sound wise, the clean stuff is just going to be my Boss Katana with, you know, on a cleanish, well, pretty clean sound with a bit of reverb from the Flint. And then the more kind of overdriven sounds, we won't go crazy high gain, but more overdrive sounds will be the DCX boost switched on top of that sound. So let's get straight to the comparisons, and then I'll come back and chat kind of my thoughts on Humbuckers versus P90, and then these two guitars specifically as well. So there you go then, you heard a little bit of a comparison sort of between these two guitars. And on the whole Humbuckers versus P90 thing, I think there are some kind of broad truths, if you like, between the two pickups. So P90s will generally have a little bit more kind of top end bite to them, even if they're low output like these. They'll have a little bit more kind of clarity, as opposed to a humbucker, which will be a wider sound, a warmer sound, you know, more kind of harmonic information, and, you know, a little bit kind of smoother rather than pointy in the mids, if you like. But that's a very broad truth, you know, a broad difference between the two pickups. And my personal opinion on any kind of comparison like this is that it's very reductionist, if you know what I mean. It's trying to simplify a more complex question, if you like, because to me, you should just take every guitar, even if it's the same model of guitar, you should just take it on a guitar by guitar by guitar basis. And the same with pickups, pickup by pickup by pickup. And it just takes time then to dial in exactly what you like in your guitars. And that to me is way more valuable to sort of accept than any kind of comparison of X versus X, which one's better sort of thing. But I am curious as to which one you thought sounded better in this quick comparison. And there are full-length videos on these guitars as well, so you can check out a little bit more. I'll link them below. But I suppose the other thing then is what about these two guitars then, you know, the 56 and 59? And there are some sort of similarities between them. Obviously, they're both Les Paul kind of knockoffs, if you like. They've both got ebony fingerboards. They've both got the same size fret wire. They're both pretty lightweight for the type of guitar, both in the low £8. This one, funnily enough, is a little bit lighter. And in terms of looks, just from a pure visual kind of perspective, I'm not really sure which one I prefer the look of, to be fair. A little bit of me thinks this one, because it's a bit more, I don't know, is classy the right word? I'm not sure. It just, I don't know. It's a lot of the time I find myself preferring the looks of this, but then, you know, a burst Les Paul is a super gorgeous looking thing as well, and this does that. And by the way, I didn't put the middle pickup sounds in the comparison there because this one I've modified in the middle to do the Peter Green thing, you know, the out of phase thing. So a bit of a pointless comparison for the middle. Other differences, I suppose, with the guitars is the way they kind of play, and the neck carves on these two guitars are very, very different. So the 59. You would probably consider this a kind of late 50s large neck, but not, you know, not like an early Telecaster, something that's really massive and deep. It's just kind of a nice full C, if you like. It's not huge, definitely not slim. Whereas the 56 neck is probably more like an early Telecaster. It is much, much, much bigger. And therefore, the 59 is probably a little bit easier to play, especially if you're doing like, you know, those chord kind of shapes around the neck. I personally find it super comfortable, but I think for the average person, they would probably prefer the slightly smaller neck of the 59. And I suppose other differences is going back to the P90 versus Humbuckers thing. P90s are a lot more tricky to set up than Humbuckers. If I just pop that down, so I can point at this. Obviously with Humbuckers, not only is the pickup by design less kind of fussy, but they tend to sit in these pickup rings that are spring loaded. So you've got, you know, very fine, easy adjustment between your pickups. Whereas on the P90s, you're kind of at the mercy of whatever's underneath the P90, you know, is it a bit of sponge? Is it really well worn? And because you haven't got kind of as much adjustment, they can be trickier to set up. And the pole pieces are very different as well. With a P90, bringing them pole pieces up will make no difference. It's all about the actual height of the pickup. So everything on the 59 is probably a little bit easier to both play, set up and dial in than it is on the 56. And the other difference is that both of these guitars have Goto hardware for the bridge, you know, this bit here. But the bridge and tailpiece on the 56 is like 70 grams lighter than the bridge and tailpiece on this. I'll try and find some pictures because I did take a photo of the weight back on the workbench. But even though they both Goto Japan, it's a bit weird that that's so lightweight compared to this. What difference that actually makes in practice, who knows? But it is, you know, it's a difference between these guitars. And they're really the main differences. Obviously the sound which you heard and the way the necks play. And the other thing to say about the necks is this one is it's kind of gloss finished, you know, with the nitro. This is an older one, so it was when they were still doing nitro. And this one is more of a kind of satin nitro finish. So aside from the, you know, how big this is compared to this, they do kind of feel a little bit different as well. But back to which one do I prefer then? So I got this guitar over 2 years ago when I was kind of new to the Eastman thing, and I hadn't really dialed in or figured out exactly how the whole Eastman model lineup worked. You know, you've got the little kind of hierarchy of the models and the way it works, and I didn't really understand all that. So I got the normal SB59, and I have since played the SB59V, which is the one that's, you know, it doesn't cost a great deal more than this, or it didn't at the time, but you get in Lola Imperials, a different type of finish, different hardware as well, I think, and that might be why the whole light thing comes in on there. Actually, now I think about it, but the SB59V is noticeably steps above the normal SB59. I mean, I love this thing, I really do. I've got no reason to part with it at all. I've had it for ages, and it's kind of part of my thing, if you like. But the SB59V, if that was in this video, I'd be saying I prefer that probably over both of these guitars, because it's something special, that guitar is. And they are changing the way they do them now, but you know, if you can find pre this year sort of thing, or if you already own one, then you own a very, very nice guitar there. But for me, these two guitars, especially the way I modified this with the Peter Green thing, they're both kind of two sides of the same coin, if you like, and I like them both kind of equally for different things. So let me know what you thought of the difference. And I suppose one last thing to say would be, if you do like to kind of, if you're the type of person that likes to change your pickups around, and you're not quite satisfied with the answer of guitar by guitar basis, you want to A and B things, I'd probably recommend getting the humbucker size P90's and then normal humbuckers, because that way you can just swap and change them, you know. Whereas if I decided that I was going to put humbuckers in the 56, I would have to get someone to route out the whole top. You know, it would be a pretty big undoable change. Whereas if you got humbucker sized P90's, that whole thing's a lot easier. So if you're the type of person that likes to tweak between them on one guitar, I would definitely get humbuckers and then humbucker sized P90's. So that's it for this video. Let me know which one you preferred out of these two. Like I said, there is full videos, numerous full videos on both of these guitars, and I will see you again very soon.